Okay, it is New Year's Eve, and last week I moved these guys back here. This is one of the back corners of the property line, and I moved them back here because I want to get them away from the side of the house because I'm worried that it's reflecting a lot of residual heat onto them, and it can be messing with their dormancy. Like this blueberry over here has been trying to flower since like November, and it's going to cause some problems not just for next year but perpetually if I can't keep it nice and cold. So I don't have it with me right now, but I've got a little pH meter, and I've been trying to keep this soil acidic for these blueberries, and it's been a real challenge. For some reason, like, this stuff wants to stay at like 8 perpetually. And there's some areas where I can get it down to like 4, but it's not consistent at all. That one there's been doing well enough. Like, it's a little bit lower, but this one here did not grow at all since I bought it. Like this branch here is new, and some of these smaller ones here are new, but it didn't really grow at all. This one over here like over quadrupled in size. These 3 branches here are all new. These 3 big ones. And all the little branches off these guys here are new. There's a couple more smaller ones down here that are also new. I'm planning on cutting these ones out just so I have more central space for airflow. And then these 3 main new ones I'm going to keep and just keep growing. But this guy here did not grow at all. And I think it's because of the soil pH. And I moved them back here, and on a whim I tested the soil out here, and within an inch of stabbing that meter into the ground, it dropped to like 3, which is almost too acidic for blueberries. So I decided I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm not going to put those guys in the ground just yet, those red raspberries, just because I want to see them fruit. I want to see how well they do in those containers, just for now. But these guys definitely need to go in the ground, I think. And I'm hoping that the more consistent temperature in the soil will help keep them dormant for a little bit longer in the springtime. And, I won't have to worry about watering them too much in the summertime as well, just because these pots don't get dry as the ones that my strawberries were in, but the ones my strawberries were in, I had to water them almost twice a day in the summer, just because of how bad it was. So I'm going to get these in the ground, and you guys can take a look at what they look like once I get them all dug in there. Okay, so I dug this out just a little bit wider. I'm not too worried about doing the whole 1.5 times this general width of the pot, just because I don't think this one, I got these ones in the spring, so that they haven't grown to the full stature of the pot, obviously. Maybe that one a little bit more, but definitely not this one. And the soil isn't that bad. I'm going to wood chip around this to keep it moist, and it'll keep the soil nice and soft. So what I'm going to do is I built up a little mound here to kind of splay the roots down across. I'm going to try to go bare root with this one at least. I want to get rid of as much of that soil as possible because it's not that right pH level that I want. And then I've got a little bit of homemade fertilizer right here. This is mealworm frass. It's really nice stuff. It's really strong. It's really potent. And it's supposed, from what I've read online, it's supposed to be a cold mulch. So you can apply it directly to the plants, but it's still really high in nitrogen, so you probably don't want to use too much of this at once. So I'm just going to sprinkle this in here. That's probably a little too much as it is. I'm going to mix it in a little bit, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like when I get all the roots splayed out on top of that mound so that they're not like too bunched up in the center. Well, this is way worse than I thought it would be. I pulled them out as gently as I could, and this is nowhere near as much as I thought it would have, even with how poorly it grew. Like this guy, this is pretty much the same amount of roots that it had when I first got it, which was bare root, which is really disappointing. Yeah, that's kind of what it's going to look like when it's all done, which is really sad. Look like that in the ground. I'm going to try to elevate it a little bit because this is really thick, deep clay soil. So at least that's what I've seen all the blueberry farmers around here do, is they mound it up and they wood chip it real deep, probably for mulch as well as to keep fertilizing it. But I'm going to kind of keep it a little bit higher than the rest of the ground, just to kind of help shed water if it gets like excessively wet, which of course this is the time of year for it. So I'm gonna backfill with some of my native soil, and then I'll wood chip around it, hopefully today, maybe even tomorrow, I don't know, see how I'm doing. And then I'll get started on that one in just a minute. Okay, there he is. Poor thing. It's just tiny. I don't know how you can end up with less soil after you dig it out than when you started. But, well, I'll take care of it once in the future. We'll see. I'm not the best at this, clearly. But I'm going to start working on the next one now. That's where it's going to go. And I'm digging back the pine needle mulch that I had on these guys, and I can already tell this is going to be very different because you can see the roots all over in this guy. This guy is definitely not going to be happy once it moves. And I've also noticed, yeah, these are all the new stems that are going to start coming up out of the crown. I don't know if there's any more over here, but that's the next one right there. It's really fascinating being able to see how these plants grow. I really enjoy being able to see that and kind of learn firsthand how they grow. But I want to say I know where I went wrong. This was obviously an experiment. Oh, not obviously. I'm telling you now. It was an experiment when I first put these guys in. I did a mix of 1/3 fresh horse compost, or not even composted. So it was horse manure mixed with wood chips, or pine needle pellets on the very, very bottom. And I was hoping that would break down over time and still maintain moisture inside the pot. The next layer I did was a soil that was worked over by chickens for a good few years, and then I did a brand new acid lovers potting mix on top, and that's what the plants were supposed to be growing into. So like I said, I don't know why. Even if the pellet or even if the pine needle horse manure on the bottom was causing issues, which it clearly is because I can smell it real bad. That stuff was definitely waterlogged and not breaking down right. But even if that was causing issues, I don't know how it would cause issues for a plant with, a root ball that freaking big, especially compared to this guy. This guy, I bet you it's got some roots on it now. It's got them laterally. I wonder how deep it went. So yeah, I don't know. So I'll get this guy in the ground and show you guys what the roots look like before I cover it up. And that is, barring some that probably got damaged or torn out, obviously, that is the root ball on this guy. Way bigger. That's what I expected out of the first one even. That's impressive for 1 year. It barely even got down to the wood chips, I think, or the pellets, pine needle pellets. Yeah. Oh, there's lots of worms in there, that's for sure. So I'll show you guys once I get it into the ground there. I'm gonna have to make that hole a good bit bigger to accommodate that. But I'm gonna take all this. This here is what came from those pots. I'm gonna mix it in with this really, really fresh chicken manure. This is the same type of pine needle pellets. This is what we use for the chickens. It works really well. And I'm gonna mix it in with this stuff, and hopefully it'll be able to break down nicely over the winter. Maybe get some more air into it so it starts breaking down properly. I think that's probably why it smells so bad, is because it wasn't getting any air down there in the bottom of the pot. All the weight, it's all compressed into those chunks. So I'll break it up with a shovel and mix it in over there. But I'll do that after I'm done filming. I'll get this blueberry into that hole there. Okay, so I've widened this out a little bit. I dug down a little bit deeper, and I might dig out just a little bit more of this loose soil on the bottom before I put it in. I do still want to kind of mound it up a little bit. And I've got my my mealworm frass over there that I'm going to mix in a little bit too. I got to chop that root out there. I'm not going to do the little hill that I did originally, because I was, like I said, I was hoping on having like a little bit more of a root network on that guy. But this guy is so big and those roots are just so fine. I don't want to do any more than I already have to it. So I'm just going to toss it in and hope for the best. Okay. That one did not end up as held up as I probably wanted it either, but there we are. Got a little bit of pine needle on top of it. I'm going to come through with the actual wood chips later, like I said. Ugh. Just the size comparison. You can barely see that one over there. It's just crazy. I really hope that these guys like this spot. Ooh, yeah. I hope that's not damage on there. I'm getting roughed around a little too much. So I'm going to get cleaned up and put all this stuff here away. It really makes sense to try to put these in the ground in an area where you have soil that's already the right size for it, or the right type for it. When I originally got these, I did not have this ground to put them in, which is why putting them in pots made the most sense. But now that I have it, I don't think it makes much sense to just leave them in the pots like that, especially if they're gonna kind of suffer the whole way with it. I'd rather they have some happy soil. And if this one ever ends up having problems, I'm hoping that by the time whatever soil in that mass of roots would cause problems, by the time that it does, the roots will have already spread out into this other stuff. There's a lot of weeds out here, but like I said, I got a bunch more cardboard that I just got recently. I'm gonna cardboard all these weeds down real good, and then just wood chip probably twice as thick as what I got over there, because when I put that stuff in, it was all dead from the summer heat. But yeah, that's what I did today. Nice little New Year's resolution. Get these blueberries popping. I hope you guys are trying to do the same with how things are going right now. I'm really excited to see those raspberries explode too. I really am. I've actually got a lot that's going to be hopefully popping this next year. I got this thimbleberry here. I might thin these out just because of how close they are together, but they're, real small. This guy almost died, and I'm really glad that it survived, and hopefully it's going to be thriving this next year. I don't know if they will flower because they're definitely alive. I checked it earlier, like a couple days ago. It's definitely alive, still dormant. It's staying dormant way better than those blueberries, though, that's for sure. These guys don't always flower on second year growth, and it's because they grow a little bit differently than normal raspberries. I'm sorry, you guys can't even see it. I'm trying to film this on my phone. Yeah, these guys don't grow the same as most other raspberries, so there's no guarantee that I'm going to get fruit on it next year. But then I've got this trailing blackberry here. I lost a lot of canes off of it, and I think it's because the same issue is I had it in a pot when it was growing, and it grew well enough, but it just I don't think the root network, especially with how much water would dry out in the pot, I don't think the roots could really sustain all the stems. I've actually got a couple, they're just chopped off laying there already dead. It died off long before I removed them, obviously. But so I've got a couple here. I'm hoping that it just takes off. I'm going to try to trellis it up against the fence line so that it gets light, because this section back here, this very back corner, doesn't get the most light. But since it's a vine and in the ground, theoretically it should have almost an unlimited grow length. I'm hoping to be able to trellis it and trail it wherever I need to give it the sunlight that it needs. And then I've got one more back there because trailing blackberries need 2 plants to produce fruit. So I got the male there that I found this last spring. And so we're not going to get any flowers off that one, unfortunately, but because blackberries and raspberries are so interbreedable, I'm hoping that if I do get flowers off, obviously my raspberries over there are going to have tons, but the thimbleberry as well, I can just cross-pollinate onto this guy to get fruit. Obviously, I'm not going to have that much fruit with how small these are, but I do like tasting them. They're considering how few I get, they are still pretty tasty. It's always nice getting some. I prefer them immensely over the Himalayan blackberries that grow up all over the place out here. But that's what my little catty corner of the garden is going to be like. Hopefully, once things wearm up, we're still got like at least another 2 months before spring, obviously. But once I just can't wait. I'm going crazy waiting for spring to hit. I hate winter, so I'm hoping that these guys just start taking off as soon as it warms up. Like hell, I've still got flowers on these ever-bearing strawberries, these wild guys. But I'll show you guys as soon as the buds start breaking in spring, because those blueberries are not supposed to be budding out right now. But next spring I'll show you guys what this looks like, and I really can't wait to start showing a little bit more about how these guys grow. I hope you enjoyed seeing me hopefully save these blueberries, get them growing a little bit better. And if you guys are growing some stuff, let me know and share in the comments, and try to learn how to do this together.